top forward yesterday.
Yep, and there's Zachary on the left. We are in game 2 with Zachary up a game. Doesn't look like Zachary has access to green mana yet, whereas Jeremy Crawley has all the pieces he could ever want so far.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be impressive for Zachary to live through one turn.
Yeah, he's already at 10 with an impressive board presence, as well as the combo potential from Blood Artist, and Zachary being hampered by not having any green mana is certainly going to be a problem.
Yeah, he really needs Mutilate to really be able to do very much in this matchup beyond, hopefully his opponent getting a slow draw.
Yep, and after sideboard he does have 4 of those, but even if he does cast a Mutilate on his next turn, that might still not be good enough.
Yeah, I mean, this game in particular, it's just too late for the most part, but in the future he's gonna be very, very reliant on that Mutilate in order to get an advantage, because so many of Jeremy's cards cost 2 or less and are not easily destroyed by removal, and so many of Reyburn's cards are creatures that cost 4 or more or are clunky removal spells.
Yep, absolutely. Things like Devour Flesh, certainly not at its best against Junk Aristocrats.
Yeah.
So
overall, I think this matchup is going to be just a nightmare for Zachary. No matter how you slice it. However, he did win game 1, very important game 1.
Looks like he's considering a mulligan, or not a mulligan, a miracle here, although there are no black miracles that were printed in Avacyn Restored, and instead decides to scoop it up, and we're going to get a look at these players before they head to game 3. As you saw, Jeremy Crawley sideboarded in Appetite for Brains, among other cards, in his Junk Aristocrats deck. What else do you think that...
Yeah, he wants the Appetite for Brains to be able to fight Mutilate, because, I mean,
Absolutely.
He knows, there's no question, Mutilate's the most important thing going on. Additionally, though, Appetite for Brains, an excellent answer against Thragtusk, and the fact that it also hits Disciple of Bolas and Desecration Demon is just gravy.
Absolutely. After sideboard, I imagine he will also be bringing in Duress to be able to deal with Mutilates and other elimination spells. It's also possible he could bring in something like Garruk Relentless, sort of trying to fight on the same level as Zachary.
Possibly. He doesn't want to slow himself down too much. I usually don't like Garruk Relentless unless I value the ability to fight.
Sure.
However, I think that Sin Collector, as an additional way to fight things like Mutilate, could make an appearance.
Yeah, lots more interaction with the hand with Duress, Appetite for Brains, and Sin Collector, coming in for some of the less important cards against Zachary, things like Tragic Slip and Abrupt Decay.
Do you think there's any chance he brings in Lifebane Zombie? I mean, all it hits is Thragtusk, but...
It does hit errant Scavenging Oozes, but yeah, it's not going to hit Scavenging Ooze very often. I don't know. How important is Thragtusk in Jeremy's eyes to getting past
That's
Zachary?
a good question. I can't imagine it's that important. Plus, it's not like he has very many bad cards to take out.
Yeah.
He's probably going to want to cut his 1 Abrupt Decay. Although you might just need it for the Scavenging Ooze. But for the most part, he doesn't want to be too reactive. He wants to make sure that he brings beats as reliable as those we just witnessed.
Absolutely. On Zachary's side of the board, he's got an extra Mutilate in his sideboard. He's also got a couple of Ratchet Bombs, very good against the Lingering Souls strategies. And on top of that, that looks like about it for things I would bring in. Maybe this Abrupt Decay as well to take out Blood Artists and the like.
Yeah, it's a tough way to do it. I don't know if I would even want the Abrupt Decay, but it's certainly an option. The Ratchet Bomb, I guess, it's not a great way to do it either, but at least you can sort of hit a couple tokens, or maybe
Ratchet
take it up
Bomb
to 2.
will often take out a couple tokens. It's a good way to take care of a Cartel Aristocrat. And certainly things like Devour Flesh and Liliana of the Veil are going to come out.
Yeah, you don't want you don't want the sacrifice nonsense.
Yep.
Not great against the Doom Traveler Young Wolf deck.
So Zachary is going to be on the play for this important third game. We've seen the Rock a couple of times. Named the Rock after the original green-black mid-range deck, the Rock and his Millions, with Deranged Hermit and Phyrexian Plague Lord.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know this, but you know who was the first person to put up a good tournament finish with the Rock and his Millions? With the Rock deck?
My guess is Sol Malka.
That's what most people would answer, but that's not the case. And
What
we
is
do a
it?
good case study of this in Next Level Deck Building.
All right.
But breaking it down, it's actually Jelger Wiegersma.
Really?
Hall of Famer Jelger Wiegersma was the first player to put up a big finish with the Rock.
Excellent.
Yep.
Wow. Well, the Rock, a.k.a. green-black very control-ish mid-range, has been on the map for basically as long as after it was first invented during Urza's Legacy, all the way through Pernicious Deed and Spiritmonger, then a little bit later, all the way up to today with things like Desecration Demon and Thragtusk and Disciple of Bolas as the flag bearers for that strategy.
Yeah, the rock has most often really been about what you put out some. You just got green for the creatures and black for the removal.
Absolutely, yeah.
And this current iteration actually doesn't even have very much green, very much in the green creature department. It's much more of a mono black deck. But
yeah, definitely to take advantage of Mutilate. I imagine that we would see slightly more green if Mutilate weren't a card.
That's true.
But certainly this iteration, much more swamp dependent, rather than, for example, old extended Death Cloud black-green with Garruk Wildspeaker, that kind of the rock. So this game's going to start out with neither player playing a 1-drop, and Zachary is going to take advantage of Jeremy's slightly slower draw, not having a Doomed Traveler or a Young Wolf on turn 1, by Sign and Blooding himself to get back up to the maximum number of cards in hand.
Nice. That's definitely what he wants in this kind of a spot, because it is going to be a little bit of a resource battle. And Jeremy's draw not so fast that the life total is that concerning to Zachary.
Yep. Skurstag High Priest is going to be the play from Jeremy. That is a very scary human, a 1/2 that can produce a steady stream of undefeatable monsters. It was often compared to, very early in its life, often compared to a pseudo Stoneforge Mystic. Very early, because it's a 1/2 for 2 that has a ton of body value attached to it. Clearly a different Magic card and something you have to build your deck much more specifically around. But the power is nonetheless there against certain types of decks. Zachary is probably going to have to use one of his textless Putrefies on it.
Yeah. First, though, we're going to see Lingering Souls out of Jeremy Crawley.
Yeah. In response, a Putrefy and a pair of Souls are going to enter the battlefield. Not Tom Martell's. Actually, printed Wizards of the Coast official Lingering Souls entering the battlefield. Zachary has not 1, not 2, but 3 copies of Thragtusk in his hand.
And at least 2 land.
Yep.
So we are going to see Thragtusks on parade in just a short moment here.
Yep. He has a Putrefy again for if another troublesome permanent that isn't Cartel Aristocrat manages to hit the board, although it's not particularly good on the opponent's turn with Voice of Resurgence either, which is Jeremy Crawley's draw for the turn. Looks like Voice is going to be the choice coming down for Jeremy Crawley. You're welcome. Yeah. I'm not the only one that can rhyme up in this booth, sir.
After the Voice of Resurgence, we see a Doomed Traveler, and Jeremy just trying to commit as much as he can to the board, which is definitely the right way to play it, given that Zachary is about to play a Thragtusk every turn from here on out.
Absolutely, and he's also got, in his deck, has 4 copies of Desecration Demon. Not very good when you're facing down a Voice of Resurgence and a Doomed Traveler. Mutilate, also a card that loses a lot of value when 2 of your cards come back, and you've also still got Lingering Souls in the graveyard. There's Thragtusk on the left. The Nils Ham art always carry 2 spears. Is the wisdom that we have from Mokgar, Colonian Hunter.
John Miko Beltran.
I've heard that.
Please come to the stage if you are in the building.
So 2 spirits are going to enter the red zone here for Jeremy to try to keep the life total at a decent level. And the shoe is on the other foot now, as Desecration Demon comes down from the Junk Aristocrats player.
Yeah, Desecration Demon, definitely a much more effective tool against black-green. However, he does have Putrefy.
Yeah, Jeremy actually has 3 copies of Desecration Demon in the main deck. I hadn't noticed that previously. It's another sacrifice outlet to be able to gain value off of Voice of Resurgences.
Well, you can't
early.
You can't sacrifice it. Yeah, you can't sacrifice. You can't sacrifice. Only opponents can sacrifice to the Desecration Demon.
Oh, well, that's too bad.
However, it is still a source. It's sort of an implied source of morbid, because sometimes people just have to tap it, which then can turn on your tragic slips.
Desecration Demon has one of the most complicated triggered abilities printed in Magic history. It really does. So Putrefy is going to remove the 6/6 Demon from Temptation's path here, leaving Jeremy with only 1/1s and 2/2s. He elected to do that instead of casting Thragtusk number 2. We can cast that anytime. One of the few times that we've seen actually on camera where someone elected to play something other than Thragtusk on their turn.
I don't know. I see people pass on Thragtusk all the time. They play Garruk, Primal Hunter, Rakdos' Return, any kind of removal spell. I think you just give too much respect to that beast.
I mean,
I will say one thing though. I'm sure happy that we're almost done with that guy.
absolutely.
What about you?
I think that Thragtusk is exactly the kind of card you want to print exactly once, because you want to see how far you can push the fair creature, right? Because there's
Sure,
nothing
he's
inherently
fair.
unpowerful or overpowered against about a Thragtusk. Gaining 5 life, okay. A 5 power creature for 5 mana, okay.
Well, I assume it's just the fact
It's
that
a Doom Traveler. It makes
like
a beast on its way out. All right, fine.
but
the combination.
yeah, isn't it just the rate though? Like it's
Yes.
Like, I mean, Luxodon Hierarch was a really good card in Extended, and it like a 5/3 for 5 is that gains 5 life, is slightly worse than a 4/4 for 4 that gains 4 life, but you also just get a 3/3,
Yes.
and not even just when it dies, like when anything ever happens.
Yep. Whenever it gets Oblivion Rings, whenever it gets Vapor Snagged, anything. So the beast, the turtle, is going to dirtle into the red zone there. And Zachary on 7, there's Thragtusk number 2, leaving up 2 mana. I did not see if he drew an Abrupt Decay, but I imagine we will find that out rather quickly if that elemental token enters the red zone. Looks like he got a Desecration of his own instead. What do you think about the addition of Desecration Demon to the Junk Aristocrats main deck?
It's kind of sweet. I mean, it's real cool with Vorals. It was real popular in the Return to Ravnica block constructed format, which is, I think, where this particular blend of junk gets its roots.
Yeah, absolutely. The only cards from Innistrad block are Skursdag High Priest, or the only creatures from Innistrad block are Skursdag High Priest, Young Wolf, and Doom Traveler. The rest of them owe their allegiance to the Return to Ravnica block.
Now here we see a tragic slip for the actual -1/-1 as a combat trick, shrinking Thragtusk from a 5/3 down to a 4/2 so that a 5/5 elemental kills it with absolutely no damage dealt.
Yep.
Well, none permanent anyway.
2 tusks down.
Yeah, but 2 beasts to go.
2 beasts to go as well. Well, 4 beasts to go, really. Always carry 6 spears,
All right.
what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Zachary has a ton of land. He's going to be hopefully looking for things like Sign in Blood off the top to be able to take advantage of all this land that he's going to have. He's going to end up with 9 total in play over the next 2 turns. If he keeps both of his swamps, or if he plays both of his swamps and doesn't keep them in hand. He has Desecration Demon, Thragtusk, Swamp currently in hand. Jeremy down to 1 card.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, he mostly wants to just keep bashing, and I mean, you start by playing the Desecration Demon first and then the Thragtusk, right?
I think so.
Because
I
you're going
think
to get the
that,
5 life out of Thragtusk either way.
Yeah, and making your opponent sacrifice one of his tokens or the Doom Traveler a turn earlier is much more important. Attacking with a beast, keeping things at parity, keeping things at the same amount, similar amount of life total.
Well, because the alternative, you could just play a Thragtusk and threaten to double block. No, but he does play the Demon.
Yep. And Demon is probably going to get a bunch of counters the longer this game goes, rather than ever entering the red zone. Now the interesting thing here...
One way the Abyss.
That's right. And one thing that's interesting to me is if Jeremy wants to attack, he's going to have to sacrifice a creature on his turn. Which I think is what we're seeing with these Lingering Souls. 5 total spirits.
I mean, they're just making the elemental enormous too.
Absolutely. That's a good point. Even bigger than the Desecration Demon is
Wow.
that elemental.
For now. Looks like we have a spirit on its way back in.
Yep. So there's the Doomed Traveler Spirit. In comes the 7/7 Voice of Resurgence Elemental token and 3 Spirit Flyers. A
Remember,
beast
3
token
can't attack from the Lingering Souls and the Doom
and the
Traveler.
Doom Traveler. So those are going to get to remain on defense. One beast token, the untapped beast token, is going to throw itself under the tires for the good of the team to be able to prevent 7 damage from the elemental. Looks like another land off the top for Zachary. He is very low on fuel with only that 3rd Thragtusk to go.
Yeah, the real problem here is that Zachary needs to be able to deal with that Voice of Resurgence. He can't chump block for very long.
Yeah, he's going to need to find an Abrupt Decay, a Putrefy, a Doomblade.
Now, if he can kill enough spirits, he can get the elemental down small enough that Thragtusk can actually tussle with it, but we have a little bit of a ways to go before that's the case.
Yep, it is currently a 6/6. And Thragtusk is going to enter the battlefield. A little shake of the head from Jeremy Crawley. Can't believe that 3 Thragtusks have come down. There's about 5 minutes left on the clock for these players. The rest of the room has pretty much finished up their matches. This is one of our last ones remaining.
I don't know if I like playing the 8th land. He's got an 8/8 demon. The 8th land isn't doing anything for him in play.
Right, that's true.
So we've got 5 spirits and a 7/7 elemental coming in.
Yes, 7/7 elemental.
And that elemental's going to trade with a beast and a Thragtusk, right?
Yep. So it's going to trade with the front half and the back half of a Thragtusk, actually, by being so big.
But what's really interesting is that Voice of Resurgence is going to be able to make another elemental. Jeremy's showing him.
Now, the Voice of Resurgence is going to make another elemental later.
Yep.
Yeah. So that one's going to be on weight.
Players,
That one's not going to be able to attack. So he's going to be able to block with the beast, with the Voice of Resurgence for a turn, and the beast will survive. And then the next turn he'll have a massive.
This is where he really
elemental.
needs Ratchet Bomb or Mutilate.
Yeah, both of which would be incredibly potent here.
Is that a tragic slot?
It looked like a Lifebane zombie to me.
Ooh, that's tragic.
Yeah. Not nearly as tragic as he was hoping for. So, I understand. Got it. Yeah. Inadvertently giving Junk Aristocrats a way to convert that Voice of Resurgence into a token himself. There is another roadblock, shall we say, for the elemental token, as it is going to be... Actually, it's a 6/6 right now. So if it doesn't grow anymore, Zachary could try and trade both of his creatures for the 6/6 elemental. It does, however, look like Jeremy found a Skursdag High Priest. The Demon Factory is going to certainly put Desecration Demon out of business.
This is a real rough one.
In come all the tokens. Looks to me like Zachary's going to fall to 5. There's the Skursdag High Priest.
This is one of those times that you start to see the value of things like Kessig Wolf Run. Just imagine if Zachary had access to a Kessig Wolf Run among these oodles of land.
Well, he is running 2 copies of Gavany Township, which if he had managed to draw...
Oh, Jeremy is. I'm talking about Zachary.
Oh, Zachary, absolutely,
Zachary
yes.
just got
in
land
the Junt
for days.
deck, yeah, because he had the black-green value land that was printed in Innistrad block was Grim Backwoods, and that's not exactly where you want to be in a rock deck.
No, definitely options of that caliber pretty grim.
So Zachary, I'm just going to ignore that pun. Zachary goes to 5.
Desecration Demon continuing to eat 1 creature a turn, but Jeremy continuing to average better than a creature a turn.
Yep. One of the quandaries of the Desecration Demon is the...
So what do you think about sacrificing a spirit there instead of the High Priest? It protects him a little bit against Golgari Charm, I guess.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I guess that actually goes a long way. I mean...
Yeah. Protects against Golgari Charm, protects against Ratchet Bomb, any number of things that Zachary could have had there. And plus, he will be able to make an extra creature every turn, basically turning a spirit into a 5/5 every turn for the rest of the game until either permanent is dealt with.
Yeah.
So, Cartel Aristocrat is going to represent yet another sacrifice outlet and yet another untargetable clock for Jeremy.
He's not even turning a 1/1 into a 5/5 every turn. He's just getting a 5/5 every turn because he has to feed the demon every turn anyway.
Right. So Lifebane Zombie going to stand in front of the Elemental token. 3 more damage going to come in. It looks like Mutilate is going to be the only out here, and it's just a bunch of lands. So
Jeremy Crawley takes it, going advancing to 2-1, with a winning 2-1, but advancing to a record of 6-0.
yeah, with
which
Junk Aristocrats.
Junk Aristocrat should have locked it up. It sounds like that means that he's going to be able to draw into the top 8 of this tournament.
Absolutely, keeping it up for the Tragic Slip decks. We haven't seen one of those be do very well the last 2 or 3 weeks.
Outside of like Jund, right?
Well, sure. I wasn't counting that as a Tragic Slip deck.
Sure, fair enough.
I'm counting it more as being able to take full advantage of the morbid triggers and all the sacrifice outlets.
Absolutely.
And so we haven't seen that be able to